Assalamualaikum. Hello everyone. How are you today? I hope you're fine. I'm Nurul. Today I will present to you Chapter 3 of Engineering Project Management. Organization, team and project will be the focus in this Chapter 3. Let's start with the outcomes of this course and chapter. The course learning outcome for CHE 250 is, at the end of the semester, students should be able to explain basic principles and practice of project management engineering with cognitive level 2. Meanwhile, for the learning outcomes, at the end of the chapter, students should be able to explain the nature of a good planning, discuss the proven methods for generating plans, and that are adequate to the task from the start to its successful conclusion and able to decide the things should be a part of the project plan. Let's look at the content of this chapter. There are 5 subtopics to be covered. In this module, my focus will be on the planning of the project, which is covered in subtopic 3.1 and 3.2. The second part of the chapter 3, subtopic 3.3, 3.4 and 3.5 will be covered by my team member, Madam Nur Hafini, in a separate module. Let's begin with subtopic 3.1, planning the project. In the project life cycles, which involve 4 phases, planning was in the phase 2 at the early stage of the project cycle. In a planning process, we should have an attitude to always ask or start questioning with the basic 5W and 1H. Where, what, why, who, when and how the project is. What is actually involved in the project planning? Let's think about it for a while. When we are talking about the planning, there are few terms that will pop up in our mind. You may have a schedule, a timeline, a Gantt chart, appointment of a team member. You also could have thinking about the cost or budget. Yes, those are the things that are involved in the planning process. Based on this mapping, the project planning is where project activity and risk planning is to be considered, estimating the costs and the risks, scheduling the project, and allocation of the resources in order to ensure that the project is feasible and deliverable as well as profitable. Before planning a project, we should understand the primary function of the project plan. It serves as a map of the route from initial project start to finish and ensure the plan should contain sufficient information. I would like to emphasize here that the planning phase is when the project plans are documented, the project deliverables and requirements are defined, and the project schedule is created. The planning phase is a crucial process that the project manager is tasked to plan, manage, and deliver the project and who is responsible for all problems and obstacles in the way of successful delivering the project in time and on budget. So, at the end of the day, there is only one person at fault for a failed project, the project manager. There is also a challenge with inadequate planning that could impact on the failure of the project. Hooray! The plan is ready and will save us. But during the planning phase, there is a situation called analysis paralysis, which refers to overanalyzing or overthinking situation that later stop us from making a decision or action. This is not good where it will later delay the planning process. Back to the square one, project planning is important as it serves the project manager and his team a detailed map of the route from start to finish, basis for cost, quality and risk management throughout the execution. Keep project on track and facilitate later accomplishment. Once the planning is completed and entering the execution phase, all teams members should always keep themselves updated on the current status and future expectation. Here are some examples of update and monitoring process should be carried out throughout the process. In project planning, there are 2 approaches or methods that can be used. Project Management Book of Knowledge, PM Book, Project Plan, or the second method of Prince2 Project Plan. In the most cases, PM Book project plan is the most preferred method because it is the most comprehensive process. It refers to project charter, consists of 4 process group (PLC) and covered 10 knowledge areas or frameworks. The next section of subtopic 3.2 is to understand what are the content that should be included while planning the project. There are 3 elements in a project plan: work background structure (WBS), RCI matrix, a linear responsibility chart, and other planning elements that serve a special purpose. In my next slide, I will focus on the 9 categories of planning elements. You will then learn what is WBS and RCI matrix in a Part 2 Chapter 3. There are 9 important categories of planning elements. In the context of project planning, the term element refers to key components of aspects that contribute to the overall structure, success, and understanding of a project. These elements help to break down a project into manageable parts, providing a clear overview for senior management and other stakeholders. Let's delve into each of the mentioned elements. The first one is overview of the elements in the project planning, which covers a brief description of summarized project goals and purpose, deliverables or scope by defining the project outcomes and boundaries, a milestone to highlight key progress points, expected profitability in estimating financial gains, and competitive effects in assessing market impact. These elements offer a high-level understanding for senior management to evaluate the project value, feasibility, and alignment with business objectives and mission. The third element is general approach, which included technical and managerial approaches, relationship to another project, and deviation from standard practices. This involves outlining how the project will be executed from both technical and managerial standpoints. It covers the methodologies, tools, and techniques that will be used to achieve project goals. On the managerial side, it addresses how resources will be allocated, communication managed, and risk mitigated. Also need to define how the current project connects or interacts with other ongoing or planned projects within the organization. It's important to highlight any dependencies, synergies, or potential conflicts between projects that could impact timelines, resource allocation, or outcomes. Any intentional deviation from established norms with reasons and management is crucial to be discussed in this section to ensure that project outcomes remain aligned with quality and performance expectations. Presenting this aspect succinctly helps senior management grasp the strategic execution, project alignment, and potential variances from established norms. Moving on the contractual aspect of our project, it forms the foundation for successful execution and collaboration. Our agreements with clients and third parties define rules, responsibilities, and expectations. They outline services, deliverables, and timelines, fostering understanding and relationship building. Transitioning to reporting requirements, effective communication is key. We specify progress update frequency, format, and content for stakeholder alignment. Transparency and regular updates cultivate trust and provide a clear progress overview. Technical specification ensure project precision. They detail standards, functionalities, and benchmarks, guiding us toward desired outcomes. Project review dates are vital. These schedule checkpoints enable progress assessment, milestone celebration, and adaptive measure in changing circumstances. Lastly, compliance with legal and environmental constraints is essential. Upholding regulation and environmental considerations are a responsibility reflecting our ethical standards and commitment to sustainability. The schedule is like a roadmap that shows the timeline for your project. It includes all the important dates and milestones you need to reach along the way. Think of it as a plan that helps you know when each task or phase of the project should start and finish. Milestones are like signposts that mark significant points in the project, helping you track progress and stay on course. The sixth element is resource requirement. It's all about figuring out what you need to make your project happen. This includes money for project expenses like materials, equipment, and services. Overhead and fixed charges are the costs that stay the same no matter how much you produce. For example, rent or salaries. By estimating these expenses, you can budget properly and make sure you have enough funds to complete your project successfully. Personnel refers to people who will be working on your project. Sometimes, certain tasks require special skills like knowing how to use specific software or machinery. If your team doesn't have these skills, you might need to provide training. There could also be legal requirements such as certifications or licenses that your team members must have to do certain tasks. Making sure your team has the right skills and training helps ensure the project goes smoothly and safely. Risk management is like having a plan for unexpected bumps in the road. It's about being prepared for things that could go wrong during a project. Here are some potential problems or risks you might face. Listing of potential disaster. Think of this as making a list of worst case scenarios. It could include things like natural disaster, earthquakes, floods, accidents, or unexpected events that could seriously disrupt your project. Example, for the past 2 or 3 years, the world has been surprised with the new disease outbreak, COVID-19. Most of the economic sector was disrupted by this disease. Next, you could have a late subcontractor deliveries. Sometimes the people or companies you rely on for parts or work might not deliver on time. This can slow down your project and cause delays. Next, we could have a bad weather. Weather conditions like heavy rain, snowstorms, or hurricanes can make it hard to work outside, affecting your project schedule. And you also may have a changes in the project scope. Sometimes the goals or requirements of the project can change. This might mean more work or a different direction impacting your original plan. To manage these risks, you will want to identify them early, come up with strategies to prevent them, and have a backup plans in case they do happen. It's about being ready to adapt and find solutions so your project can keep moving forward even when things don't go as planned. Next, we have the evaluation methods, which are like the tools that we use to measure how well our project is doing. They help us understand if we are on track and meeting our goals. Here are two important aspects of evaluation. First, evaluation procedures and standards. This is like having a set of rules for how you will measure success. It's important to define what success looks like for your project. For example, if you are building a bridge, your standard might include safety measure, load capacity, and completion within a certain time frame. Secondly is a procedure for monitoring, collecting, and storing data on project performance. Think of this as keeping an eye on how things are going. You will need procedure to monitor the project regularly. This could involve using tools like progress reports, checklists, or even a software. You will also need to collect data. This is gathering information about what's happening in the project. Finally, storing data properly ensures that you have a record of how the project progressed and performed over time. By using these evaluation methods, you can make sure your project is staying on course and meeting its goals. If you find that something isn't going as planned, you can make adjustments to keep things moving in the right direction. Once all 9 elements have been described in the project plan with the sign-off on the plan by all the major stakeholders, the plan becomes operational project charter. There are differences between statement of work and project charter. The table on the right side of the slide summarizes the comparison between these two documents. Mainly, the project charter is a formal document based on the statement of work. It includes a section of project overview, project approach and objectives, major deliverables, constraints, as well as a risk and feasibility of the project. Here is an example of a project charter template. There are a lot of templates that can easily download it out there that basically consist all of these important elements. With that, I ended my part 1 chapter 3 of subtopic 3.1 and 3.2. Thank you for your attention.